Alright, so this is just We the People News one more time at it. Alright, not an attorney, not giving legal advice. Educational purposes only. Okay? Anything I say or do is just my opinion, my outlook. Why? Because I'm one of them type of people that just don't look straightforward, always look around to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. Okay? So you use that Second Amendment, arm yourself with knowledge. And this is one of the good YouTubes that you may ought to check out to arm yourself with knowledge. Okay, it's high frequency radio. You need to go check him out. And this is why. So I'm gonna make a couple videos talking about paperwork. And he says you can go to his YouTube channel and get a copy of this. Alright. But he'll go in a little bit more depth about it. So let's check out what he has to say about that. Did a video a couple of videos back about the whole case about him not having tags on his car, but it was interference and he got arrested and this, that, here, and there. And the criminal charge itself was the interference part. Okay. So, don't know how that turned out yet, but here's this part. It's just kind of like a totally different type of guy. There's totally different ways from this other type of guy. There's just so many avenues because, well, which jurisdiction we're in. They haven't never clarified which jurisdiction we're in. Are we in amnesty? Are we in a common law? Are we in Constitution? Are we in UCC? Are we in administrative? You know, when you challenge these jurisdictions of the courts, nobody lets us know.
The first thing I want to get into, I want to get into a little bit about a discussion about the driver's license and utilizing Article 3 courts to sue. Now, I did my own research on this, and with the assistance of ChatGPT, people be like saying, yeah, ChatGPT is right. I'm like, look, if you're not using ChatGPT, you're just a damn fool. I deal with hundreds of people. ChatGPT is like my assistant. If I have a ChatGPT can help, I train ChatGPT so it thinks like me. It's going to give an answer the way I would give it. So obviously, yeah, I'm going to use ChatGPT. I use a lot. I use it for.
By the way, from my understanding, which I don't have ChatGPT, but from other people talking about all these things, yes, ChatGPT is good to have, but you have to go in there and train it. But in order to train it, you got to have the knowledge, okay, to be able to train it to benefit you in court. Some people are just using ChatGPT. Oh, great. Okay, well, that it. And then send it to court, and the cases don't match up with the subject matter in the said case. And matter of fact, there's been attorneys actually been banking on ChatGPT too much, and the courts are getting mad at attorneys because the attorneys are not taking the time teaching ChatGPT and challenging ChatGPT and to get that thing up and going in that space.
A lot of it cuts down on time. If you're a businessman, you're in business, and you're not using some sort of AI software, you're just going to get left behind. That's without a doubt. I have no doubt. And on top of that, you should be utilizing it to conduct your research because it is an excellent research tool to assist you. If you can guide it on it, what it is exactly that you're looking for, most definitely. And I was doing some research with ChatGPT, and it was something, an answer that was always right there in front of my face. I understood that a lot of people don't understand the role of the Supreme Court. There is a video on the internet called The Role of the Supreme Court under the Constitution with Judge Scalia and Justice Breyer, on there answering some questions from Congress and just getting into, jurisdictional things and what is constitutional and what's not constitutional. I don't think people really understand that the Supreme Court, there's a Supreme Court of the United States of America, and then there's a U.S. Supreme Court. All right. Just like there's a district court of the United States and then the United States District Court. Everything that they have that starts with United States, it is something that Congress created. You have United States Postal Service, United States citizen, United States taxpayer, United States District Court. You know, just they title everything they own within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. It begins with the words United States. So when you see United States Supreme Court and then you see the Supreme Court of the United States of America, it's the same entity operating in two different capacities. When they're operating as the U.S. Supreme Court, they're operating in an appellate capacity of the United States District Court and Congress, their legislative courts. They just they're in a appellate capacity, and all they do is review procedural aspects of the lower courts and make determinations of whether or not their rulings were constitutional or non-constitutional. And then there is the original jurisdiction.
And that's the reason why they've been arguing about the statutes in appellate jurisdiction, right? The administrative jurisdiction. And that's the reason why we've been losing for a long time our cases on a Second Amendment when the plain out says shall not be infringed. Okay? And now they're going through a bunch of issues cleaning that mess up. However, it's still in the appellate. It's not never in Article 3. Now, I did a video a while back, a couple videos back, and I can't think of his name, you know, but this is one of his main points, is going to the Article 3 original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Okay? So,
of the Supreme Court, where they take cognizance over cases protecting private rights of citizens. All right, where you know, which is where as a private citizen, that's where we should be at, because the Supreme Court of the United States of America, their primary function is to protect private rights. They are the gatekeepers against the government to prevent them from encroaching into the private. All right, so the question came up, well, with the driver's license, the ultimate question is it public or is it private? All right, is driving is public, traveling is private, you know, and is your property, because we have a right to have private property. So is this an infringement on our right to private property? And the question has never been tested in the U.S. Supreme Court. So today I'm going to offer you a pleading that me and Chat, with the assistance of ChatGPT, that I came up with, that I felt like is pretty good. It'll be a pretty good guide. I will offer it for download on SBC University. You don't have to be a member to download it. But there will be a link under the video where you can download this. And if you want to enhance it or do something with it, you're more than welcome to do that. But I think you're going to find it's a very, very nice, it's nice, you know, in my opinion. Okay, now.
And I think that's the reason why they never answer the question of challenging jurisdiction, right? That's because they don't want you to know that you can go into Article 3.
You can always tell somebody who doesn't know how to use ChatGPT. They'll say, well, that being said, I have observed that ChatGPT is heavily slanted toward anti-sovereign conduct because you haven't programmed it. It's still raw. You just took it out the box. You just took it out the box. When you see that right there, you haven't. ChatGPT has an upload function. Okay, you have to train it to be your agent. I got into discussions with ChatGPT when I said, well, this is a sovereign citizen. I said, what about this? And then, oh, well, you know, you're right about that. And then, you know, it is an AI. If you feed it accurate information, it'll comply. What I want to start with first is we're going to look at pleading. All right, we're going to look at this pleading. All right, we'll look at this pleading. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this to you, and then you can, you know, if you want to download it and enhance it, you can. But this is an example of a lawsuit on right to travel. You know, I'm not a big right to travel person, but I just get so many questions on it. It's such a big topic. I do. The right to travel arguments are accurate, I think that there are some holes in it as far as you operating in a municipality. You're supposed to, it's a lot of land out there. Y'all supposed to go out there and create your own cities and create your own police departments and then police your area yourself and create your own municipal laws how you want to operate on your property. That's what y'all don't get, in my opinion. But a lot of people think you can just go anywhere and do anything whenever they want. They just think that way. And I think that's delusional in that thinking when I hear people talk like that. They don't understand public rights versus private rights. But anyway, let's get to this. A memorandum of law in support of the fundamental right to travel. Let's look at this. Let's see what we got. Let's see, can we get some information from this that may be advantageous. Now, this memorandum is submitted in support of the position that the right to travel is a fundamental constitutionally protected liberty that cannot be lawfully abridged by statutory licensing schemes when exercised privately and non-commercially. This right, firmly rooted in common law, constitutional text, and judicial precedent, is distinct from the state-regulated activity of driving or operating a motor vehicle in commerce. Statement of facts. Okay, you're going to insert whatever happened to you. Namely, plaintiff was cited or arrested for operating a motor vehicle without a driver's license. Plaintiff was engaged in non-commercial private travel at the time. No harm or injury to person or property occurred. All right? So it wasn't no safety violations or anything like that. Let's go to the next one. All right. Issue presented. Whether the state may lawfully require a private citizen engaged in non-commercial travel to obtain a driver's license. Excuse me. Whether the statutory term driving applies to private conveyance or persons or property absent commercial activity. So we got to put this before the Supreme Court and let them rule on it under their original jurisdiction of Article 3, not in their appellate capacity. All right. Number 3, whether compelled licensing constitutes a contract or adhesion lacking voluntary informed consent, thereby infringing constitutional rights.
Sorry about that. I'm also smacking, so my mouth is full.
Strictly scrutinize any statute that restricts a fundamental right. Shapiro versus Thompson, volume 349, U.S. Reporter, page 618 and page 638, year 1969. The burden rests on the state to demonstrate that such restrictions are narrowly tailored to serve a compelling government interest and that no less restrictive means exist. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court is always using what is called a compelling government interest test. Sometimes it's called a compelling public interest test. It means the same thing. Government and public are interchangeable terms. They are synonyms. All right. So the compelling public interest test means if it is compelling enough that the public has an interest in it, then they have a right to regulate it. Okay. So legal standard. Courts. I'm on the argument. A, the right to travel is a fundamental constitutional liberty. Now, I'm always taking a pause when I see this word liberty, because there is a difference in liberty and freedom. But I can understand you utilizing a 6,000-pound vehicle. I do think there should be some sort of regulation or something behind that activity. It's just, I think, but I'll tell you the extent of it that I feel. But, their number one concern is public safety. And they have a delegation of authority from the Constitution of the United States of America, and you have to honor and respect that. You can't go around walking thinking you do any damn thing you want to do. If you are one of those type of individuals, you are a threat. You warn with the Constitution, as well as the fact is that you are, like you are what is the word they use? You are some sort of terrorist. If you're not recognizing, you need to get into law books and understand public rights doctrine. You got to understand they got rights because the Constitution gave them rights, and we gave them the Constitution. So you can't go against your own delegation of authority. They have authority. We gave it to them, but it's narrowly defined. One of the principles of the Constitution is limited government. What we are looking for right now is the limits of government. The same question that Scalia was asking them as well. What are the limits on commerce? Because it doesn't appear to be any.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and end it there. And try and make the next one a little quicker. Decent Week People News. Bye, y'all.